Good afternoon. I am speaking to you shortly after the end of the summer term, a term like no other, and a year which I am quite sure will be different from any other that we've experienced and will experience. Now, with this in mind, I could not be more proud of our pupils, their resilience and their positive response to online learning and many of the other changes that we've had to make. I'm especially proud of our Grecians, for whom this has been a particularly difficult end to their time at the school. Their exams have been cancelled. They've missed out on the long-awaited end of year or end of career traditions, including the beating of the retreat and, of course, the leavers service. They've also missed out on their leavers ball. I'm pleased, nevertheless, that we were able to deliver, albeit a remote version of this, deliver a speech day ceremony earlier in the term. Now, Christ Hospital has needed to respond in many new ways, which have been in support of the pupils and their families. I think of the weekly food vouchers, which we've been able to continue, or rather make sure have been put in place. We have completely changed the landscape of IT in order to cater for remote learning. And crucially, we've been able to sustain our counselling support service, albeit remotely, to make sure that our most vulnerable pupils still have access to this vital area of the school. Perhaps most notably, though, it's been wonderful to see that all our pupils have continued to, with the very down-to-earth meeting which takes place every day, the registration of pupils, and that's taken place every morning in-house, again remotely, to make sure that all our pupils are clicking in with our new remote service. Now, it is hard to think of a world which is not affected by COVID-19. But this academic year must be remembered for other things too. And I think particularly here of the drive created in teaching and learning practice under the new leadership of Christ Hospital's Director of Teaching and Learning. Many of you, I suspect, will know Mr. Edward Hatton. He was at the school a little while back and is now leading us on this really important part of what we do. I also think, on a one-off basis, of the really extraordinary quality and experience of the Lent Term Band concert, which combined the bands of Christ's Hospital with the British Army Band Sandhurst. And then it would not be right not to mention the fact that the school has been altered forever by the fact that it now has access to the new catering facility. I hadn't anticipated the influence that this has, probably at a subconscious level, on all our pupils. But every morning at lunch and evening, they are served in an area which is newly created, which is really bright and airy, and the food, of course, is outstanding. All our efforts now are focused on the Michaelmas term and our commitment to ensuring that all pupils can return safely in September. Our pupils who live abroad will be able to manage any lingering quarantine requirements at the school. And that's just before the beginning of term. Our staff will be back at school early to prepare for the new academic year. A carefully managed and proportionate testing regime will be in place to protect pupils and staff who need that. And in order to manage the new territory just after COVID, or in the process of emerging from it, we will be providing hybrid or blended teaching to be able to look after the small number of pupils who may still be shielding whilst we get on with the normal face-to-face lessons. And next year's 2 examination groups will have extra lessons in a revamped timetable, and one which is completely transformed from what you may have been used to in times gone by. This will mean that any gaps left in their learning because of the school's closure over the last 4 months can be closed. And then finally, without losing any of the benefits of the broader curriculum, it will be adjusted to accommodate the limitations created by our society emerging from months of restriction. The IT landscape, of course, is being adjusted to accommodate all of this, and we are going to make sure that staff are provided with the wherewithal, IT wherewithal, in order to deliver this change. As old blues and friends, each of you is an important and valued member of the CH community. We remain proud of your achievements, and we are particularly grateful to those of you who are working on the front line in response to COVID-19. The pandemic has reminded us, many of us, of how fragile life is, especially for those already in vulnerable situations. CH has always been here for children and families facing economic and social challenges, and we must ensure that the opportunity of a transformative education at CH remains open to as many young people as possible. So thank you all for those who make work at Christ's Hospital continue, including those who have responded to the Bright Futures appeal. Your support is changing the lives of hundreds of young people and their families. Thank you for that. I want to finish by sending the very best wishes from Christ's Hospital. Like everyone, I am looking forward to the return of times which are less dictated by the pandemic. This will mean that there is much better chance of safely meeting many of you again in person, and I really hope that this happens on an increasing basis over the next few years. Many thanks for listening, and farewell.